Hi everyone, I had a request to do some Christmas in July colouring. Now I've never done this before and I wasn't really very sure about it, but I was given this Christmas book just earlier this year and I haven't coloured in it yet because of it not being Christmas time, but I thought it would be an interesting thing to have a go at. So I picked this page because it's not really festive because it's cakes. But it is slightly, and I thought it would make a nice series. So I just now I have done a flip through of this book, so you can have a little look at it if you want to. I was given it as a gift. It's a lovely book, and there are all sorts of different images in it, mostly sort of one-page pictures, but this one just seemed good. The first cupcake is very Christmassy, as you can see. But some of the others are not so much so. So I thought it could be, I just thought it was a good one. So we'll get started. I'm using Polychromos pencils because this is Amazon paper. I find a harder pencil, for me, works better. It's what I like. So let's start with the case. We can see this is supposed to be Father Christmas's suit and belt. So I'm going to start by doing this top and bottom in reds. I want to do a variation though, not just one red. I'm going to start with the middle cadmium red, which is quite a dark colour on the edges. And I think I want to fade it towards the centre with a lighter red once we get to the middle. And then hopefully it will start to give the impression, try not to colour over the belt, it'll be okay. To try to give the impression that our cupcake case is a little bit rounded, because obviously they are. And it might work, it might not work, but it's worth a go. It's quite fun chopping and changing colours a little bit. Keeps the colouring more interesting for you as a colourist, I find. Although it does slow it down. So sometimes if I want to be quick, I don't. You know, it depends what mood I'm in. You know, if I want to finish a picture quickly, because I'm just in that. Sometimes, I don't know about you, sometimes I'm just in the mood where I want to sort of get on and finish something fast, you know, but I'm not today, so it's fine. My next colour I'm going to use is the deep red. So I'm going for sort of, I'm not going for a pinky red. Now I'm going over what I've done and then starting to reduce how hard I'm pressing, really. Now a cupcake case wouldn't normally be really dark red like this, I don't think, but because of the way it's been drawn, I think it warrants a deep dark red colour. Yeah, I quite like the idea of doing some Christmas colouring today because it's really hot. It's, well, for me anyway. I'm sure some people are thinking it's not that hot. This is the pale geranium lake. For me it's hot. It's going to get up to 29 degrees, which is like 84 maybe, I don't know. I know for some of you like 90s is normal, but really no. I think also the UK air is more humid than some places, making it slightly harder to bear the heat, but earlier in the week we had lovely cool breezes, but today the air feels quite still. It's not humid, but it's still. So, but anyway, I'm sure I'll manage. But colouring a Father Christmas cupcake feels the right thing to do. Now, where I've left this here, it looks shiny. That isn't what I want to do. I don't want it to look like it's a metallic red. But I'm just going to, this isn't my final colour, so I'm just getting this bit done to my satisfaction. And then we'll add a last colour. This one is a little bit pinky for my liking, but the last one we add will be a little bit more orangey, I think. Hang on. That's the scarlet red. I think that's in the wrong place. I'm going to look at my swatch chart. So we've used the pale geranium lake there. The scarlet red does come after it on my swatch chart here. Okay, we'll use it. That swatched up, by the way, is one that I made up. I think the order might be the tin order, but I can't remember, to be honest. I made it quite a long time ago. So you can download it for free on my Ko-fi. There's a link to my Ko-fi in the description, as there is to all my other things, social media, sites, website, newsletter, all that stuff. So you can go and find whatever you want. But yeah, the downloads are free. Just it still looks quite shiny here, doesn't it? I feel that the transition here is too liney, so I'm going to go back to my deep red. Just gonna take it slightly further along to try and make it look a bit more blended, a bit more gradual. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Now we have our belt. These two bits I'm going to do in black. Now, some people do Father Christmas with a green belt, but I do black. I don't know why. Some people do him with a green suit. And it depends what country you're from. I know he was originally green, a bit like the Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, The Ghost of Christmas Past, maybe? I'm trying to remember. So you see, I've tried to make it a bit more intense here than here. It's quite hard with the black. I think it's The Ghost of Christmas Past, and he's quite plump, and he's wearing a green robe, fur lined, and apparently, although it's not completely known, some of the ideas of Father Christmas came from him. Now for the buckle, I thought we could go for a bit of gold. It's Christmas after all. And so I'm going to start with the dark brown. This is the walnut. I'm going to do a diagonal approach. So we're going to do a corner like that. So it's darkest there and then gets lighter. This central bit we're going to do a different colour as well. So I'm going to spend a little time adding some details here. So this is the brown ochre, and we're going to go over that brown quite thickly and then extend it like this, fading it out. Okay, like that. It might seem complicated, it really isn't if you just break it down into little steps. So now the green gold. Again, we can go over it all, simply just colour and then extend it out like that. Same with this one. And then we've got our very last colour, which I think I'll go for this one because it's nearer. Naples yellow, that's how important it is. It needs to be yellow. You could use a cadmium yellow, probably a light cadmium yellow would be better. Now leave a little bit of white, and there you get your metallic shine, but you can go over all of it. It helps to blend it a little bit and make it all bright and shiny. Now the central bit we're going to do a silver. So I'm going to start with the tad of Payne's grey. Okay, now although these lines are drawn here, we're going to do the shine in the same direction as this, or else it's going to look a little bit odd. Sirens. Gosh, those are mad sirens, aren't they? Like that. And then go a bit lighter. It's because we've got a big main road. This is cold grey 5 at the top. Oh, I've got the wrong pencil sharpener. Because we've got a big main road at the top of our street. Well, just above us, actually, because we're down in the valley. There's a set of traffic lights, and so they always put their sirens on to get through the lights. Like that, and we can do a third one. We're going to go lighter. Cold grey 3. Again, I need to sharpen it. Give you a minute to find your pencil. Go over all of it. Again, we want a white bit. Just if you can line up with the one you've done already. Mine doesn't line up that well, but there we go. It just looks like we've got a bit of a light catching it. Okay, now we have our cake to do. I'm just thinking we've got these lines here which indicates this cake is shadowing the cake case, so I think we won't ignore that. We'll use this Payne's grey that we've just got out and just colour a little shadow under here. So I'm going to colour quite a dark line just underneath the black line that's there, and then just gently fade it down a little bit. I can hear a load of birds now flying over. Maybe they were startled by the siren. There we go. Now the cake. Ooh. So for me, I feel that we've got plain cake, then icing. Okay, you could do this cake as a coloured cake, you know, with dye, food dyes and things, but I want to do it as a plain cake. So I'm going to start with this colour. This is the light yellow ochre. I always get a little bit stuck on what colour to do cake, but I think if I start a little bit too light, it seems to be a better bet than if I start a bit dark. So just, it doesn't need to be really even because cake colour often isn't, because it's got crumbs and things like that going on. So there's that. Now we can see we've got some texture drawn in, so I'm going to add to that. I'm just grabbing the brown ochre which we used earlier. Firstly, I'm going to put a bit of shadow where the icing is overlapping. There's a bit drawn in for us anyway, but we can do a bit more. Like that, and then, you know, flecks and dots just to make that like a bit more cake like. There we go. Now I don't know what colour to do this icing. I'm thinking maybe a green. I feel green's quite Christmassy, and we've got our hat, so that's going to have red because it's the Father Christmas hat. I mean, it could be white like his beard, but then that's white. There's nothing to colour. So I think I'm going to do it green. I'm just thinking which colour. I think the permanent green is a really good colour actually for this. Now we want our icing to look really thick, so I'm going to just go back and forth and put down quite a thick layer. Now I always associate green with Christmas because of Christmas trees, I suppose. So it feels like the right sort of colour. It feels so weird talking about Christmas. Nice though. I do enjoy Christmas. Great time of year. So I have done a Christmas in July celebration when I was in Australia, when I was, how old was I? I was probably, let me work it out, 18, 19, 20, 21, something like that. And we did a couple of Christmas in July events where we had a sort of roast dinner. I don't know whether roast dinners are something that you would ever normally have in Australia, ever. I know you wouldn't have them for Christmas because it's too hot. I know what my family do is they tend to have a big spread of food, but usually cold. So there's lots of salads and fish dishes and all sorts of different things, so that there's loads of food, but it's not what we would have here. So, and I know some people sort of go to the beach and things like that. It would just seem the weirdest thing for me, but I guess you get used to it. I mean, obviously if you grow up with it, you don't have to get used to it. That's what you do. But if you you know, if you have sorry, I just noticed my microphone had tipped over and was inside my shirt, so I hope that it was clear. Yes, like my aunt who went out there when her children, before I was born, she was out there, so she's been out there more than 50 years, she'd be pretty used to it, I guess. But she did used to, no, I'm trying to think if she came home for Christmas. No, she used to come home in the summer. Home is what she calls England. Obviously, it's where she was born and raised. She would tend to come back in the summer, which she still does now because it's warmer, you know. Now, we are going to do these little bells, whatever they are, because they're on the hats. But I'm going to completely ignore these markings. Now, these are the shine that's been drawn on for us. We will put some white pen on, but we're going to ignore it at the minute. So we're going to go for our walnut brown. We need a sharp pencil. And we're just going to do a layer here. Now, we're not going to fade very much here because it's such a small space. And you'll see what happens. My brain went, a disaster. No. Why does our self-talk so negative at times? My husband rang me this morning. I won't say why. He was all in a panic about something because his brain had over-imagined something. Apparently ADHD brains do that more so, I don't know. But, yeah. Mine does sometimes. You know, when someone's home late or something, do you just find your brain going to just, no. This is brown ochre. We're just going to do a line of brown ochre just inside. Yeah, I don't know why brains do that. It's not nice, is it? But I can usually distract myself or talk myself out of being so silly. You know. But anyway. It's a weird thing. But yeah, negative self-talk is bad. So many people do it, put themselves down. My son, terrible, one of them, green gold. It's really bad for it. Because he said he'd got his something done at work, and his brother went, oh, that's surprising, in a sort of sarky brother, put down your brother way, you know. He said, yeah, I was surprised as well that I could do it. I was like, it's very sad that he hasn't got that confidence in his abilities. This is Naples yellow. Like, he doesn't want to look up his marks from uni this term because he thinks he's failed everything. And that's really sad because I'm actually colouring all this in the yellow because I'm hoping that when we put some white on at the end, it will give us the shine that we're looking for. Now, if any of them look a bit too much like they need a bit extra, what I'm going to do is get my brown ochre and just slightly make some of the areas look a little bit better blended. There we go. Now, we've got a hat here. I am going to colour it slightly. I'm going to use this Cold Grey 4, bear with me. If you've seen me colour a Christmas hat, you'll know what I'm doing. If you haven't, you'll find out. So there is that. Then I'm going to grab the Cold Grey 5 and put some lines on our hat. We are going to make some white fur. White fur with a grey pencil. Yeah. And a tiny bit of black. I'm just going to sharpen it. There we go. We're going to do the red bit next. We'll we'll come back and do all our white pen work at the end. So that's going to look a little bit weird for a while, but don't worry. Now for the hat, I'm going to use the same reds that I did for the case. I think it makes sense. So here's the middle cadmium red, and I feel that this would be the darkest area. I'm just going to sort of fade it in like that, and here. Then, oops, what's my next one? Was the deep red. So the same as I did with the case, over the top, and then start to fade it a bit like that. I think my piece of paper is underneath the page. That's better. It's just worrying me there because it's not quite lined up. There we go. And then I'm going to do the pale geranium lake as my last colour rather than going for the scarlet as well. I think this will work fine. There we go. And then we've got our present. I want to tie it back to this silver, so I think I'll do a silver ribbon. But what colour paper? I know, we use the scarlet red for the paper. Why not? I just want to tie it all together, you know, not introduce any new colours. So we'll do this first, and then I'll show you how to do the ribbon. Okay, this is so much fun. But if you like the idea of me doing more Christmas in July, let me know. Oh, there's a lot of noise outside all of a sudden, chattering. Now, underneath where the ribbon is, there would be a bit of shadow. So we're just going to put that in with our middle cadmium red. We don't need very much. We can just put a little bit under there and there, and I think on this side, there and there, like that. I think that's all we need. Now our silver, going to use, where's our paynes? Paynes grey first. So we're going to, let me think. Yeah, I think I'm just going to keep it really simple and do a little bit top and bottom, just fade it up. The same each side of here, like that. You can make this bit in the middle really dark if you want, because there'll be some shadow. And then the cold grey 5, we just start to take that colour. Now here we don't want quite as much, got a much smaller area. I'm sure you can work that out. And then cold grey 3. Now we want a white area, so I'm just going to sort of fade it off like that and leave a bit of white paper. I don't need too much, just enough to trick the eye to make it look shiny. Now we're going to get our white pen. Now I'm going to use a Sakura 8, I think. I don't want a really thick 10. There it is. Because these aren't huge areas to colour. Now we have got a really big area drawn out on our bells. I'm unsure, so I'm going to try it on the hat one. If I can get the pen to work. There we go. And see whether it makes sense to colour in that whole area, or whether a small area would look better. I think that's okay actually, but I'm going to do our fur. Now you overlap the fur with the hat, like this, so you're breaking over that black line. It gives even more of the impression of fur, and just put white lines throughout. The pen doesn't want to work, there we go. It's because the paper isn't flat. Come on paper, that's better. So add lots of white, and you can still see the grey and black lines through, which help to make it look like it's a layered up bits of fur. We'll come back and we'll do a bit more on that in a minute, but we'll do these other It's interesting, there's so many children's voices outside. I guess GCSE exams and A-levels are finished, but most schools haven't finished yet. So it's quite odd. I'm sure it's not hot enough for schools to close, that's for sure. I remember it was really hot one year and my kids were supposed to go to an outdoor play and I didn't let them go because it was like going to be 40 degrees and I thought I didn't want them to go. I know, I'm probably too... I'm going to use a thicker pen now. This is my Languo, Languo. Now there are marks on the icing, and I don't know if they're supposed to be like what I'm doing, but quite happy with using them like this. Seems to work. Now I'm not going to use this on the hat because it's too thick, but I can, yeah, I think, see the present's got marks on, but I don't really want a shine on there, so I think I'm going to leave that there. I'm just going to get the slightly thinner pen, the 8, and go back over the hat. The hat usually needs a few layers, but you need to wait for one layer to dry before you can do the next one, or else all you do is take off the pen you've already done, which defeats the object somewhat. There we go. Now I'm happy with that all done. I'm just going to tilt it slightly to take a photo because that's it, hold the page flat or else it will look sort of slightly curved and strange. So there's our first cake. Some of them aren't so Christmassy as others, so I thought that was good. There's some like just cherries and things like that, or holly with it. You know, it's not overly Christmassy. Or the next one is stars, so that's why I chose it as well. So if you fancy trying something that, you know, trying a technique on a cake that isn't Christmassy, you can still do that. But there's our first one. I had so much fun with that. So thank you for the lovely book and the idea of doing Christmas in July. But I am going to go. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a really super day, and hope you join me for the other videos in the series. But yes, have a lovely day and happy colouring.